are you getting on? Isla here, and I'd like to give you an update on our project Cromarty Seascape, which focuses on native oysters and seagrass in the Scottish Highlands. So if you haven't heard about the project before, that's fine. I'll give you a wee whistle-stop kind of update. It focuses on the firths around the Black Isle. To the north of the Black Isle, you've got the Cromarty Firth, so it's basically just like inlets. To the south of the Black Isle, you have the Beely Firth, which grades into the Inverness Firth. So feel free to pop that up on Google Maps and get an idea of the project area. It is just north of Inverness if you're looking for a big landmark. So what have we been up to? We've recently taken on a new project officer and I'm really excited to introduce you to them. They are starting next Monday. Frances and I are, we're really looking forward to welcoming a new team member on board. We were invited to submit an article to a magazine called Black Isle Chatterbox. I basically just introduced the project to local people and let them know what we're about, really. We also supported a master's student called Tomas, and he came up to interview and hand out survey questionnaires to people in the sort of wider project area in lots of the different towns and villages and Inverness, which is a city, just to gather their perceptions on coastal management. And we supported this project because we want to identify areas where we could be engaging with people better, where we could be better empowering people to take ownership of their coastal environment, because obviously we only know so many people within the project area through our own networks, and we might be missing something. So we kind of want to see whether there might be areas in which we can improve as a community-led project. We were also really lucky to be awarded Nature Scot funding from the Scottish Government. Scottish Government's Nature Restoration Fund managed by Nature Scot. Now this is to cover the majority of our work with seagrass this year. And under the fund we are covering drone mapping of seagrass meadows and on-foot mapping within approximately 1,100 hectares of suitable intertidal habitat. I believe Frances has already almost finished up the on-foot mapping, which is really impressive. So the areas that we're mapping are areas for which data is currently absent or lacking somehow, and they are Monlocky Bay, Dingwall Bay and Belmadathi Bay, which are, if you have a map up at the moment, if you go to the Cromarty Bridge, it's the area west of the Cromarty Bridge, and also Petty Bay, which is near Castle Stewart and Inverness Airport. So yeah. Also covered within that project is sediment sampling and geotechnical works. So we're looking into the chemical composition of the sediment, looking for things like heavy metals, and basically all sorts of stuff, looking at particle size distribution as well to see whether there are any characteristics of the sediment or things within the sediment that could be impacting upon seagrass growth and just how well the seagrass is doing, comparing that to seagrass density data and which species are present as well. And we're recording a whole bunch of stuff.
What you want?
We're also looking into undertaking water monitoring, things like nitrogen and phosphate levels, using a redox probe, turbidity. We also have an algae meter, which is really cool, which I'm excited to show you guys. We've only just properly got to grips with using all of that new equipment, so I'll show you I'll give you a more in-depth update on how we actually use all of that equipment in next month's field updates video. We are also undertaking mycorrhizal sampling for mycorrhizal associations with seagrass. So there's an organisation coming out called the Society for the Protection of Underground Networks, or SPUN, and they're going to be looking to see whether they can find any mycorrhizae within seagrass or the sediments around it. Now, the reason why we are looking for this is because we've heard from other seagrass restoration projects in Scotland that it is easier to restore or plant seagrass along the edges of existing meadows than it is to establish new seagrass meadows where seagrass once was present, or they're not sure whether seagrass meadows were once present. There's lots of different reasons why this could be happening, but there have been sort of theories or whispers that it could be to do with mycorrhizae, if those can be found in seagrass species. So they've not been formally found yet. So this makes this work very exploratory, and we'll report our findings to you guys. What else with seagrass now? There's a lot to update you on. I think the last time I updated you was when we took some eDNA samples in the Cromarty Firth. Just to mention that the University of the Highlands Islands have been really, really busy. They had lots of samples backed up, but they're hoping to process and analyse those samples for us this month. So I'll be in touch with you as soon as those have been processed and we have some results. We have also been building with volunteers from Murray Ocean Community small sort of seagrass nurseries.
Lobster hatchery there.
So in these nurseries we're going to be seeing whether we can get seagrass to grow and see whether we can get it to survive in tanks. So really straightforward, really simple, and this would be to help us with material for restoration for future work, basically. In those nurseries we also have, we're monitoring light levels using things called hobo loggers. Other options are probably available. And we're also monitoring light in the field, basically, so like in the intertidal zone in a couple of areas.
Cool. So that's that done, and then we do exactly the same. So press it once. And then we've got the second one there, that's mossy earth.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I've covered everything other than oyster updates for you now. So onto the oysters. We've not forgotten about them, definitely not. The boat is ready, so we took the boat out for her maiden voyage a week or two ago, a couple of weeks ago I think it was. We have our handheld VHF radio and all of the relevant permissions and licenses to use it, of course. And I've been going through training. Francis has already got his training to use the boat. And she is called, drumroll, Isha. So it means oyster in Scottish Gaelic. And although there were loads of really great suggestions in our in the YouTube video on the project before, I thought that Unsinkable 2 was probably a bad idea, especially when the Port of Cromarty have allowed us to berth the boat within their harbour. So yeah, I decided that we were going with Isha. And yeah, she's doing well, and she'll be a very, very important asset for us to be able to access the oyster nursery, especially when conditions are a wee bit, suboptimal. She'll also be really good because we can do more ROV surveys so looking at the seabed in the Cromarty Firth, so the Cromarty Firth is where we're focusing our oyster restoration, just to be clear. So yeah, we haven't been out much with the ROV this summer, or at all, just because we haven't had capacity to do so, but this boat will massively help with that. And also once the seagrass work has kind of calmed down, because the seagrass dies off kind of from mid-September onwards. So then we'll be able to do other stuff, sort of prepare for next year, do some ROV surveys, hopefully be tending to some oysters. And on that, we have one more permission to get to be able to fix in a date to install the native oyster nursery. Really excited for that. But it's just taken a lot of time. To be honest, the majority of my job has been me at home securing permissions for all of the various bits of work that we do, both with seagrass and oysters. there are an array of different permissions, licenses that you need to get from various bodies. So that's taken a bit of time, but we're almost there. So I hope that when I update you next month, I'll have more to show you. Oh, I also, excitingly, just to kind of prepare for the native oyster nursery being installed, we put together some of our baskets, which are the kind of the containment method that we'll be using for the oysters. So those will be on a long line and float just beneath the surface of the water. And that's so that we can easily access the native oysters and monitor their health, their growth, and just see how they are doing. So yeah, I roped in the help of my partner the other day to put together baskets, and there are currently 15 of them sitting in our storage container, ready to go. And I think that is everything. I'm probably going to finish this video and think of a couple of other things that I could have mentioned, but if I do, I'll write them down and I'll update you in our next field notes update. So that's me. Thanks a lot for listening, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Cheers!